Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Monday, April 20th, 2020. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice here that the ES has pulled back in overnight and pre-market trading here beginning Sunday evening. It is now taken out the previous session's low, so Friday's low, and has built a small box below that low, hitting a low of 28.08 today, now trading 28.19s. And again, a small little box developing below the previous session's low. That could become a bear trap here for those that are short too low and don't get paid. We could begin to see a short squeeze back above 28.25. If so, that could lead price, at least on an intraday basis, back toward VWAP for the day, 28.42s currently, perhaps back toward 28.50. But overall, again, this market has been bullish on a medium-term basis right now. And typically speaking, on a pullback phase below a previous session's low, that's a great spot to look to trap for a continuation higher. Keep in mind also the 8-period moving average has been moving higher very steadily. Any push back to or just below it could still be a buying opportunity as well. Ever since this thing was taken bid, it has not been tested again. So if price were to drop even a little bit lower here, that could still provide an opportunity for bears to be trapped and squeezed yet again. So right now, until proven otherwise, this market remains bullish on a medium and short-term basis here. We're up against that 2900, which is a very, very important overhead resistance level. So if you recall, this 2900 level right here, if you bring it across, I mean, a very important level here. So again, if price cannot get through that zone at some point, perhaps we do see a wider swing pullback here. So this is going to be a very important overhead level to continue to watch throughout the week. All right, let's take a look now at the NQ. Okay, taking a look at the NQ here, you'll notice inside day at the moment, not quite at the previous session's low, but the previous session's low is going to be a good price to watch for perhaps a rejection. So if price were to drop, say, below 86.80, that could provide an opportunity to watch for rejection and perhaps a return back up toward the previous month's highs. We didn't quite get them ever since price went bid down here. We've had a big stretch. Again, 8-period average untested so far. And so right now, again, any pullback could still be a buying opportunity. As deep as this 8-period average, that's 8,500, which has been a major area of support. If we were to drop as deep as 8,500, that could still be a buy for a push up into 9K and the previous month's high. Now again, keep in mind, just like the ES here, we have a very clear overhead level. It's 9,000 right here. We almost got to it, 89.66, and you know, is where price went offered here. Here you can see the retest. We're right up to that zone again. If price cannot get through or find acceptance beyond 9K fairly soon, perhaps we get a deeper pullback again toward 82.50, maybe as deep as 8K, and we could trade in that zone for a while. So we'll see how this develops. But again, on a short-term basis right now, pullbacks are to be defended until proven otherwise. All right, let's take a look at crude oil. Now, May crude oil will cease trading here fairly soon, but it reached a low of 11 bucks here. And this June contract obviously went into play on Friday, now open, and has gone from basically near 27s there all the way back to 22, and a fill of the gap could take you down below 19. So I believe it's about 1970, 1975, something in that zone. Let's see. The close is 1975. So we could be looking at a continuation toward 1975 after the gap fill here that's in play. Now that may not happen all today. We've already seen quite a push downward. We're down 11.7% already. But again, even in the next session here, if price were to pull back, there could be a selling opportunity for a continuation toward a gap fill, not only of the previous month, but of that rollover gap close there that takes you to about 1975. Again, as we've seen before, the market's really been trying to hold that 19 level here. Obviously, the June contract gapping up while the May took off to the downside. But again, we'll continue to watch that key range that we're engaging right here. This key range, very, very important, which takes you from 28.50 down to 20.50, midpoint at 24.50. And this is going to be very important. Again, if we were to break to the downside, We have 1650 and 1250 that could be the next targets. Holding 1920 could open up again a continuation back up in a trade within this range. So this is the key range to continue to watch here as we develop in crude oil. All right, let's take a look lastly at gold futures. This one's up about 0.2% at the moment. It has pulled back to 1700 and a little bit below today's low, a bit lower than that. You can see here we had a pretty strong top here. We talked about the potential to see us top that day, and we've seen it. We saw a failed high develop here, which has led to more weakness in a stop run day on Friday, and now we're pulling back after an extreme sell-off day on Friday. We're right inside the bullish PIMA trigger zone here, which is typically a buy opportunity for a continuation higher. One thing I mentioned before is that 1700 was going to be very important, and I mentioned it on this day right here that once this thing took off, if it came back to 1700, that's an area that bulls are going to want to defend for a shot at 1800 to 1830. So those are the next two major targets above. We also have, based on this key range here, the actual 50% extension is 1831. So from here, we could see a move from 1800 to 1831, somewhere in that zone from these lows. So again, continue to watch this area. If there's a failure to hold, say 1670, something in that zone, then perhaps we get back towards 1600 and that midpoint right here and continue to trade in the zone. But right now it's trying to hold the top end of the key range for a shot at another round of strength. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.